What's up, guys? Cards here, bringing you another video. This time we're coming from WMMA 5, World of Mixed Martial Arts, One Last Round by Grey Dog Software. Another excellent game from them. And let me start this off by telling you, being straight up and honest, I am not a huge MMA guy. I mean, I've seen a fight or two here and there, but I don't usually watch this. I'm a big, sports entertainment, WWE kind of guy, and I really fell in love with Grey Dog Software's Total Extreme Wrestling. I've played that several times, and so I saw an excellent review on gmgames.org about this WMMA 5, and I thought, you know what, I'll give it a shot because Grey Dog lets you demo their games before you have to purchase. So if you want to just check it out, you download it, no cost to you, and you can check it out. And so that's what I thought, I'll just give it a try. And I booked 2 shows and I was hooked. So this is an excellent game, even for somebody that's not necessarily huge into MMA. It's just a really good, kind of GM simulation sort of thing. So the one thing I will say about these types of games is they can be a little daunting to get into. There's just buttons and information everywhere, and sometimes, even though there's a great game underneath, they're hard to get into. So I'm here today. We're gonna shatter that glass ceiling, or whatever it is that you want to call it. I'm gonna show you how to get started in this game. It's amazing. Once you get into it, you're gonna have a blast. I'm not gonna get too detailed. I'm not gonna get off into weird strategies and stuff. I just want to show you how to start the game, get into it, and book your first match, and you'll learn from there. Once you get the basics down, you just find more and more as time goes on, and I'm sure you'll love it just like I do. So let me get you started here. This is obviously the loading screen. This game, it is recommended to run it in administrator mode, so that's what we've done here. So when you get here, right over here on the left hand side, this right here is where you start a new game. So it's going to sit here and it's going to check out our database, and that's the other great thing about these games. The same as with most GM type games, it comes with a standard default database and information, but you can mod these things like crazy. So if you are a huge MMA guy, if you love UFC and you love Bellator or whatever, those mods are out there. You can get them no problem. So it's completed our database check here. No errors were found. We're going to start this new game. This is going to be recording. Yes. So I'm just giving you the whole thing here. I'm sorry if you get a little bit of loading screens and whatnot, but I don't want to jump in halfway through and have you guys miss something and be confused and not be able to get there. So be patient with me. If you want to skip ahead a little bit, feel free to do so. But we're going to start our single player game. I'm going to come up here. These are all the different people that you can be, and your own personal avatar doesn't make a huge difference. So we're just going to pick any of these non-fighters. I like to have somebody with a picture though. Most of the people will have pictures, like Charlie Knight here, and it'll give you a little bit of a description, and this is all information that the developer of the game put in. They all have these little bios and this sort of thing. So let's see. I don't want to hit any hang-ups. Usually I would just do default value on these, but I don't want anything weird to happen. So I'm just going to increase that for the purposes of the video. Over here you can set your skills, and there's a couple of different presets. We're just going to do jack of all trades. That'll pretty much evenly split our stats. You can learn more about these if you'd like. Throughout the game, they have these little question marks all over the place. You can learn what each of these skills do. Also, once you get into the game, I might be able to click it right now. No, not yet. This little question mark right here will bring up the player's handbook once the game is set up and going. If you hit that, you can learn about all of the different statistics, values, everything. This has a ton of information. You've got to check it out, but you don't have to do it right away. Get yourself in, get playing, get a feel for it, and then when you're ready to take it to the next level, jump in here and read up, and you're really, really going to appreciate the information that's available to you in there. So we've got our preferences set. We're going to go ahead and select that. He's our avatar. We're in. Now it's asking us to select our company. These are the active companies in the world. Alpha One, to me, most of these companies, and even as not an MMA guy, I can read a message board and I can follow along on ESPN. My understanding is that Alpha 1 is basically like Pride. And then we have Gamma down here, and this is pretty much UFC. Now, I think that all of the others probably have like real life counterparts, companies that they're modeled after. But those are the big ones that I know of. So Alpha is obviously ranked number 1. They're the biggest company in this database. Gamma's number 2, but they're based in America, so I'm sure that those will both be popular picks. I like to do XCC, Extreme Cage Combat. They're also located in America, but they focus just on these lighter weight divisions. So Gamma doesn't have these divisions, at least at the beginning of the game. Now, that can change as time goes on, but I like to pick that and play around with these guys because I like to start off with a smaller roster, kind of get my feel for it, and then you can start another game later with something bigger. So we're just going to play as the owner. And here we go. We're ready to begin. Day 1 in the XCC. This is your landing page. This is going to show you just news stories every day. There's nothing that you absolutely have to see, but to me, I do think it's interesting and helps with immersion a little bit. You can see here there's a new story that we've just taken over the XCC. So sometimes in here you'll see the different fighters calling each other out, having like Twitter feuds, that sort of thing. It's pretty cool. It's one of the interesting differences in TEW. You're the one that's coming up with the feuds. In these fighters just start their own feuds. So, the game kind of thinks of that for you. And you can book it or you don't have to book it, whatever you want. But anyway, what we're going to do, we're in here. This is the landing page. We just want to we want to book our first event. Okay? Over here on the left, this little @ sign brings you to this page. This little cell phone looking deal, this takes you to your company page. So this will give you information. If you have any kind of critical alerts or anything, they'll be right in this middle area. You can see it's telling us we have no shows scheduled. We don't have any broadcasting deals. Based on our size as a regional company, we can only hire fighters based in these areas. So that's some of the information that's here. And then we have all these buttons that just looks overwhelming. Don't let it be. You can come right down here and we'll just jump right in matchmaking. It wants to know what show do we want to make matches on, but we don't have any shows. You can add one right here. So we're going to add this show. Now, this little naming convention, this is really cool. It's one of the things that I like the best about it. I can come down here and click naming, and it will give me some different defaults on how it'll do the naming. It can just be numerically with a subtitle. I've always done numerically with main event name. All right, and the next number is going to be 1. Let's go ahead and save that. And then you can just hit this pencil, and it's telling you this is the name of the show as of right now, but it's going to be updated later. So here, if you're running a TV show, you can do that. I haven't messed around with the TV show yet. That's something for later. Scheduled for. You want to set your event at least a month out so that you have enough time to advertise for it, your fighters can train and be ready, that sort of thing. So the date right now, you can see up here, is Monday, week 1. So we're going to do Monday, week 1, but we're going to do it in February instead of January. That gives them a full month to get ready. It's going to be a major show. Let's go ahead and just advertise like crazy. These are different advertising levels. They can affect how many people show up, but they have different costs. We don't have any broadcasters right now, so we're not going to deal with that. It's going to be held in California. That's where our company's based. As best I can tell, this game, I know in TEW, if you held an event in the same area over and over, that would have a negative effect. As best I can tell, this game doesn't have that. But like I said, first of all, I don't want to get too far off into the weeds with it. But, at the same time, I've done it. I just play it in the same place over and over. I haven't seen any effect, at least not major effect. So don't worry about that too much. It's automatically going to drug test our fighters. That's great. We're going to go ahead and save this show. And it's asking if we want to advance our event number in System 2. All that means is if I go add another event, then next time I hit that little pencil, it'll do XCC2. So yeah, we want to advance it so that our next automatic naming works out. All right, so here we are. We can book our fights for XCC1. So we're just going to jump in and add a fight. So we check this out. This is our lightweight class. here are all of our fighters that are available. Now, if you have a fighter, like say I just had fights yesterday, and these top 2 guys were in that fight, they wouldn't show up on this list. This is only showing you the fighters that are available for the date that you've input for this show. So the fighters that, as of right now, the game believes should be available on Monday, week 1, February 2002, those are the only names you're getting in here. So we're just going to set up a fight. It's showing by ranking. You can change it and do it by name or by popularity. We're just going to run it by ranking. That seems to be the easiest. You can see here, Bosco Kerbeam. He is our XCC lightweight champion right now. Darren Southall is the #1 contender. So we're going to go ahead and book that. This is a lightweight fight. We're going to put that lightweight belt on the line. And right here, you can see it's giving you an estimate of the draw for the fight. So it's saying this is a mid-level regional fight. And for a show held in California for us, this would be a strong main event. That's what you want to see when you're booking that main event. If we pick some guys down here, it's going to tell us this is a low-level regional fight. It could be a main show fight, but not a main event. You have a main show and preliminaries. You don't have to book preliminaries if you don't want to, but it is available to you. But we're just going to do this fight right here for that belt, and we're going to go down here and add it. Yep, we would like to add it. And there we go. Our main event is booked. So now, our naming convention is based around the main event name. We can alter this show, hit that pencil again, and it automatically updates. Whatever fight you have right here on the top line, when you go in and change that, like if I decide I'm going to move this down and put a different fight there, I can just pop right back in, alter show, hit the pencil, save it, it'll update. So that's why I like that feature so much. It's interesting. When I first started out, I was trying to remember my main event and remember how to spell the names, and I was new to this database, so I named a show like XXC. So this way you don't even have to think about it. You can click the button and move. So we can go ahead and add some more fights here. This is number 3 versus number 4. That seems like a good fight to me. We can also add a fight, and if you don't want to go through and search too much, a great button to know about is this assistant button. Click that assistant button. This is telling you any title fights where your champion could be fighting the #1 contender, which obviously that's always a great match. That's something, if it's available, you want to throw that out there. Also, main events. This is going to go and look at everybody that could possibly fight each other. Any one of these fights that are put on this list right here, these would all be strong main events for our company. So we can go through here and pick any of these. We've already got our lightweight title fight. Let's see. Maybe we want to put on a bantamweight fight. Willie Bassett, I believe, is the champion in the bantamweight. So let's go ahead and put him against Travers. So let's go over here to bantamweight. Bassett. I'm just going to line this up. There's Travers. And it's telling us right here, mid-level regional, this would be a decent main event. You could throw this on, and you're going to do well with your show. So it's just an example of how the assistant works. If I'm booking this, we're going #1 versus #2. We're putting the belt on the line. Go ahead and add that fight. We're going to go ahead and move that up ahead of Weatherly Smith. Why don't we go ahead, we'll throw in a featherweight. Ziski versus Machado. Love it. Put the featherweight belt on the line. Going to add that one. Move it on up. And just so you can see, let's say we want Ziski and Machado to be the main event. Pop right in here, and it switches right around. There's no way I'm doing that though, because if you notice, it actually put. Hold on, let me go back. If you notice this, it'll actually put the 3 on there. It knows, the game has in its database that Ziski and Machado have already fought 2 times previously, so it automatically makes the name Ziski versus Machado 3, which I think that's a pretty cool feature. But I'm not going to have their third fight be my main event. I'll have Kerbeam versus Southall. So I know from experience, this wants to see at least 8 fights on the main card so that you don't get any kind of penalties or anything. So we can just keep on adding fighters on here. Let's throw in another lightweight fight. Whoops. There's Anthony Ray Shankman. He's a good fighter. He's getting a little bit older in this database, but he's alright. Let's get another Stiggles versus Bellinger. I love it. Is that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7. And Waters versus Potter Purebright. All right, so we got eight fights on the show. We're ready to go. All we got to do, we can come right down here, close this window out. You can still come up here and click on it if you want. You can see the card. I would recommend, I know I said it's not a hints and tips video, but I would recommend putting at least 9 or 10 on there in case somebody gets hurt during training and you can't fill their spot. You still have your 8 shows. But we can go up here, we can advance day by day, which let's go ahead and we'll just advance a couple of days because it's going to take a while. In the background, it's running all of these other companies. It's doing all of their hiring. So you can see here we've only advanced 1 day. Some of the cool things in the stories, Prospect Watch. I like to keep an eye on this if you can find some guys in here. I mean, it is what it says it is. It's a prospect watch. So I like hiring prospects, especially if you're going to come in and be a smaller company. You know, maybe if you're Gamma might just be looking to pick up fighters that, say, are in XCC or are in one of these other federations that are already out there. But, you know, for me, being a smaller company, I'm looking for prospects. You know, I want these young up-and-comers in there and fighting for me. So you can just click this arrow and go day by day. Also, the double arrow is going to allow you can skip ahead like to your next event if you would like to. You know, for right this second, I'm just going day by day because I don't know exactly how long it'll take to sim out 30 days or so. I can say in some of the mods, or one of the mods that I've played, I've started off where I'm the only company, at least to begin with, and then other companies are created as you go. That one, without having to process all this stuff in the background, it could zip through 30 days of simulating in no time because it doesn't have to, you know, hire 100 different wrestlers or 100 different fighters every day. You can see down here I've got mail. Gamma has approached a handful of our workers, and I can tell you from experience this is going to happen every time. Gamma's coming in and taking fighters out of our lightweight division. Gamma does have lightweight. They do not have featherweight or bantamweight to begin with, so you can hold on to those guys. In my save, I held on to them for about 14 or 15 months before Gamma went in and actually created a featherweight. I think they just did a featherweight division, and then Alpha actually, with them being in a national or international, they can actually hire fighters from around the entire world. So Alpha put a hurting on my bantamweight division. So, you know, it's really just a matter of what you're looking for. If you want to be one of those big companies right out of the gate, you can do that. If you want to be a smaller company, know that you're going to get rated. You can actually create your own companies if you start getting in and editing these databases. You can do that. You can do anything you want. This game is so customizable. Not only are there dozens of excellent mods that are available, but you can go in and just add little things that you want to add in. I was watching someone on YouTube did a Let's Play, and they actually just took like a picture with their webcam and went in and inserted it over an avatar. So like when they went into their little office, instead of a picture of Charlie, whoever it is that I selected for this video, they had a picture of themselves. And it's really simple. You go in, take a picture, get it in, and make sure that it gets associated with that fighter. And I mean, it's just, it takes a little bit of experience and getting used to, but once you're into it, man, there's so much that you can do with this game. All of these, not only the MMA games, but also TEW. You know, I was creating my own companies and my own logos and everything else, and that's really cool. It's really, you know, not exactly what I want to cover in this video, but just to let you guys know that that option is out there and available to you. So, you know, however you want to play this game, it's out there and you can do it. So you can see how fast we've just simulated day by day, and we're almost through this month. Usually if there's like a show, if one of these other companies is running a show, that can take a little bit longer. You can see here we're on Friday of week 4. Next up will be the last Saturday of the month. I think there is a company that runs shows on that date. You can see here this fighter is injured, but that was for a Gamma fight. He doesn't have anything to do with our fight. Also, like, as you simulate, you get these little bios and you get the render, so you can kind of learn the universe as you go. And it's really interesting to me. I know a lot of people are going to be interested in those real world mods. I like the default databases in the fictional fighters because to me it helps immersion. Like, you know, I'm in here and this, you know, Leon Banks has beaten PT Barnum, I guess is how you would probably pronounce that. A little play on words there, but you know, if it's a real world mod and you're into MMA and you sit there and, oh, fighter A would never beat fighter B, this is ridiculous, and you don't get any of that with this fictional database, which is pretty cool. So you can see here the number one story of the day, Kirby versus Southall, is tonight. I'm gonna go ahead and advance one more time, and then here's our show. So this is giving you a little overview. Here's our card. You can hit continue. It's going to give you all kinds of information, and this stuff's really interesting. The engine in this game to me is amazing. Just like when I tried to book the fight and it had already happened twice, and so it knows to throw the little 3 in there. Like, check this out. If we go and look at these fights, this is telling you that Southall is main eventing an XCC show for the 4th time. If you go into his fight history, I don't know if I can click it from here. Yeah. It shows you all of his fights. And you can see these were probably all main events. So I'd say 1, 2, 3, and this is his 4th. Makes a lot of sense. So I mean, the engine that's running behind this is just stellar. It'll show you in here if these guys have fought before. It can tell you that. It can tell you the results. Sometimes it says, like, you know, Southall is coming off of a loss, and it's just amazing to me, all the information. And you can click through these and look at every one of them. See, Ziski's finished 4 of his last 5 opponents. Just all the information. It's such a great thing. You can click through all of them if you like. I'm going to go ahead and close it just to get into it. So then you can see, here we are. We're into our fights. You've got a couple of different options once you get here. You can hit start timer, and it'll go play by play. You can see it's changed the stop, so you know it's going. It's telling us who the ref is. It's going to tell us our judges. And this fight engine is just going to get going. And it's what's really cool about it to me, and you can change how fast this goes. So if you're getting the information and you want it to go faster, you can do that. If you want to take your time and read it a little bit slower, you can do that. And that's an adjustment and an option that you have available to you in the game options. But the cool thing is at the end of this fight, it's going to give you, like, this fight was average, this fight was fantastic, this fight was rather boring, you know, whatever. It has these different ratings. And a lot of times, to me, if I watch this go through all of the way, I kind of get a feel for that. Like, if these guys are slugging it out, both of them are getting hit, see, here something happens, knockout, and it just came out of nowhere. That was, you know, it comes out of nowhere. That's exciting to watch. You can really get a feel for that. Sometimes you'll just see the fighters engage. The fighters push each other against the cage. The referee breaks them up. The fighters engage. They go against the cage, and it gets repetitive, and you're like, this is boring. And you get to the end of it, and it tells you, like, this fight was boring. And that happens. Some of them are exciting like that, you know. They go back and forth a little bit, and then boom, somebody's knocked out. That's cool, and it's a good fight. So this engine is really incredible to me, how it captures the excitement of a fight. Once it's over, you can just click next. It's going to ask you if you want to leave the fight. This is a warning that you're about to lose out on the play-by-play. If I say no, I don't want to leave, I can go back piece by piece and read these. Once I get here, if I hit yes, I'm moving on. It's going to give a little, post-fight interview. He's going to call it Steggles. It's actually going to issue a challenge in the game, which, like I was telling you, the fighters kind of make their own challenges and their own feuds in this game, which is cool. And then it tells you he's charismatic. This really, the interview helps him out. So here's our next fight. We got Steggles versus Bellinger. So if you don't want to do, start the timer and watch fight by fight, you can always just skip to the end. And it's going to give us our result here. And then we can go on. Here's our post-fight. And we can just keep on moving. Haywood beat Newton. I'm just going to sim through the rest of these and show you what happens post-fight. Gaffigan beat Shankman. Weatherly over Smith. We're moving into our title fights here. Wickham beat Bassett. Bassett's a good fighter. That's kind of surprising. Ziski defeats Machado. Alright. And in our main event, Kerbeam has defeated Southall. Which is nice, because I think Southall actually got approached by Gamma. So if I was going to continue the save, that would be a really nice thing to have happen. You know, the guy going out the door just got knocked on his butt, I hope. So here is the post-event screen, and this is going to tell you what your attendance was, how much you made at the gate. It's going to give you a critical rating, and it's going to give you a commercial rating. The critical rating is more based on how good your fights were. And you can see over here, Bassett-Wickham's the only very poor fight. Everything else was pretty good. That's purely based on how exciting the fight was. If it was back and forth, you know, there might be, I don't know all of the ratings and numbers behind the scenes, but you want to have good and great fights, I can tell you that much. That's what your critical rating is. And if you hit the question mark, it's going to tell you above 60% is a good thing, below 50 is bad. It's going to lose your popularity. So you want to get above 60%, and this one had 74, so that's great. Commercial rating is going to be about the draw. Remember when we were booking this, it was telling us the different draws, and it was telling us that these fights up here would be good for our company. Well, you can see here we've got a commercial rating of 59%. If you check this question mark out, it tells you the levels, the expectation level for different sized companies. We are either low or mid-level regional, so it's only looking for 30 to 35% from us. If we are better than 35%, we're guaranteed, along with, you know, we got to have a good critical rating over here. But if we're up above 35%, it was a good draw for us. We're at 59%. You know, that would be a good show. That would almost be a mid-level national show. So I expect that we're going to gain popularity when we come out of this. We can close it here. And there we go. We gained almost 1% popularity. And this changes based on how widely seen the broadcast is. If you get on bigger broadcasters, you know, I could have had several percentage point gain in popularity there if I were on a broadcaster. And then here, also on the post show, you can award bonuses. Here's the amount of your bonuses for the fight of the night, submission of the night, knockout of the night. You know, I like to give my champions a little extra performance bonus when they win. Both these guys up here, you put on a very poor fight. I'm not giving you anything. You know, you guys put on great fights and won. Yeah, I can go for that. These are only $250 bonuses. I'll hand them out a lot. You can change these though. I've run another one where it's like $5,000 bonuses, and I'm a little bit more stingy. But sure, let's pay them in. And then now you can see here. Here's how much each fighter won from the event. Your gate receipt, sponsorship money, merchandise, and then at the end, we actually lost money on this event. Now. Part of that is because Ziski makes a lot, and we're a pretty small company, and we weren't broadcast. But those are all things that you can learn over time. So now it's going to run through the rest of this processing, but, you know, and here's our post-fight. We're on the next day. It's giving us all of our results, and we just ran our first fight. So without getting any further into strategy detail, any of that sort of stuff, that is how you can jump in to WMMA 5, either join or create a company, get yourself an event set up, get it booked, run through it, and that's what's going to happen at the end. So I know that didn't go, you know, too far into detail. There's still 1,000 other buttons, 1,000 other things to learn, but that's enough to get you started. You get in here, you start running a couple of fights, and like I said, you're just going to pick things up. You're going to learn as you go, and you're really going to get rolling. And I'll tell you, I just cannot recommend strongly enough this game. It's excellent. If you question it at all, head on over to Grey Dog and download that demo and see for yourself. It's quick and easy, and I promise you're going to enjoy yourself. So I hope you enjoyed the video. This is Cards, and I'll catch you next time.